So we broke in 30. We're up to 33. It's 7:35. So let's get this thing kicked off. Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us for the spring. We're in the spring. It's spring. Kickoff meeting for Newton Youth Soccer's 2025 season. We, as you probably know, and as you guys have seen in lots of emails, been working feverishly to get things kicked off for this weekend. Is that right, Ed? We're kicking off this weekend.
Yep, Saturday, hopefully. Weather pending.
Weather pending, and right, if they open the fields, um, we will be playing. Um, and it's a great program, and I loved it. My time in the program. My name, for those of you who don't know me, is Clifford Slater. Even though it says Susie in the box there, that just goes to show you about the technology fluidity in our household. Don't judge. Um, we'll use any laptop in a storm here. And I am the president of the soccer club. I came up just like pretty much everybody on the board, just organically got involved in Newton Youth Soccer when the coach of our team broke his foot before the beginning of the season and sent out an email saying, "Help! I can't coach. Can anyone coach?" And I said, "Well, I played ultimate frisbee at Tufts University, so I must be qualified to coach soccer." And it turned out I wasn't too far from the truth. That and a lot of YouTube and a lot of tutoring from Ed Jenkinson and our other folks, and started to just fall in love with it and fell in love with the interaction with the kids and fell in love with going into Mason Rice to volunteer on Pancake Day and having like all the boys because I was also became the age group coordinator. So I helped all the kids find teams. They all say, "Hey, coach, hey, coach, hey, coach." And I coached for about 10, 12 years, about, I don't know, 30 seasons if you count winter and some other stuff. And got on the board and eventually became president a little bit after the pandemic. And so that's how that happens. And that can happen. We'd love to see that happen for any and all of you. Newton Youth Soccer has a great volunteer base, you guys included. I think we have about 225 volunteers all told in the organization. It's the lifeblood of our organization. And everybody that volunteers does a lot already. And we would love it if you would like to do more. There's lots to do. There's actually somebody, to volunteer to run the intramural program itself. You want to make some changes, you see some things that could be a little better, let's go. Let's just raise your hand and do it. We're looking for other board members maybe to take over on the social side. We have some parties to plan, and Nick Scoretto's here from the Revs. He's going to talk about Newton night at the Revs, but a liaison to the Revs. Really a lot to do. Both, a lot of it's, behind the scenes, it's organizationally, so it's not out there coaching necessarily. It's helping run this organization, which is, 2,500 kids a year, over the two main seasons, and of course winter too. It's maybe more like 26, 2,700 that we have playing our sport, and mostly almost all just boys. We're a big club, and we could use help. And so, if anybody is interested in doing a little more, please, reach out to myself or to Ed or any board member that you know. Dave Belfour is here. He's a huge contributor to the club and a highly decorated contributor to the club. Um, we would love to have you. So thank you for your volunteering. If you can have an interest in becoming more involved, we would love it. But that doesn't diminish what you've already done and what you're going to do this season. So again, I can't say thank you enough because your volunteering allows us to keep the prices low, really allows us to perform a service for the kids and adults of Newton, so that they can play this beautiful game and we can run this program as efficiently and as inexpensively as possible. So let us know. But again, thank you for being a part of the club. Um, I'm not exactly sure who else is with us besides Dave Belfort on our board, but we know there's a lot of other board members. Um, I think Jyoti Peters is going to be here a little bit later. She runs our outreach program. She does a tremendous amount. I think we give away about 140 scholarships a year, which is just incredible. When I came aboard, we were doing 6, 8 a season. So, 10, 12, something like that. We've really increased our outreach so that we can offer soccer to so many more kids in Newton. Laura Woodward, who's not here, helps keep the book straight. She's our treasurer. And the new board member, I don't know if he's here, Matt Cusick. Um, Sean Darcy has been on the board and been a coach for a long time. Sid Chowdhury runs our high school program, and he's a board member. Kostas Pavlidis runs travel on the travel side, has been a board member and has won a couple of state championships, along with the aforementioned highly credentialed and medallion Dave Belfour. Um, uh, which is always nice to bring home the hardware. And just in case you're wondering if this program has much of an impact on Newton, Dave and myself and Sid and some other coaches, uh, this past fall, you may know that Newton itself, the city, won the soccer championship, won states. We won the state cup. Newton North did. And entering the tournament, which is Division 1 in Massachusetts, Newton South was actually ranked number 1. They wound up getting knocked off about midway through. Newton North wound up winning the whole thing. And I would say about more than half of the kids on each team started or played significantly with Newton Youth Soccer and were coached by some of us uh, involved in the club. And it's just one of the most rewarding things to see is to see these kids go, all the way through and just keep playing. And by the way, kids that were at, levels not on the first team or not even on the second team or not even on necessarily the third team made varsity and contributed to the team. So it's not just the top players, that make it happen. Obviously, they have a big impact, but it takes a village. And so that is something else that you're a part of. Okay, we're going to start to share our screen, which is good because a couple other people I want to make sure I mention. Zach Anderson, you see on your screen. He's our technical director, technical training director. And you probably may have seen him on the field, but Zach is an incredible resource, incredibly enthusiastic guy, and he will help you with any of your teams. How do I get them to kick the ball in the right direction? Zach's probably got a solution for that. How do I, get them to pass more effectively or, play the right defense, or what is cover defense or this or that? Um, Zach's been awesome. And then the man with the plan and running the show at least at the top of my screen, Ed Jenkinson. Ed, give a wave to everybody. You probably get a few hundred emails from Ed, and he is the man. He runs the program, and we couldn't do much without Ed running the show. And he's also our registrar, making sure we're credentialed and we are licensed and have everything in working order. So I know if
And
we
and
allowed a
and
pause,
don't forget,
but
he also coached that state team that won, that North team.
I definitely did forget to mention that. But right, Ed's a coach at North. So he helped with that pipeline of getting the kids from our teams onto North. And we really do want to encourage as much interaction with, the programs in North and South. I always felt like one of the reasons Needham has always been so successful is they've had like the same coaching staff at Needham forever, and they influence, downstream so that they're producing, kids that play a certain way. So yeah, Ed's been a huge part of everything, including a lot of hardware that we've earned. And so with all of that said, I'm going to get off the soapbox now, and I'm going to turn it over to Nick at the Revs, or maybe I'll turn it over to Ed, and then Ed can turn it over to Nick, and we can get this thing going, get to the meat of the presentation. So again, thank you for coming, and away we go.
Thanks, Cliff. Hello, everyone. So I'm going to immediately throw it over to Nick. So Nick is our guy over at the Revs, and we every season we host a an evening with them, go watch a game, and Nick's going to talk about how fun that is.
Thanks, Ed. Thanks, Cliff. Appreciate it. Good to see you guys. Yeah, basically, for everybody who doesn't know me, Nick with the Revs. That's what everybody calls me, so feel free to call me the same thing. Um, for basically those of you who don't know what I do, whenever a family from Newton is looking to come to a game, 90% of the time, I'm probably the person that helps get them to it and get them tickets and take care of them while they're here. Every year, like Ed was alluding to, and spring, fall, we do one community night where we get about 1,000 people from the town to all come to a game together, tailgate together before the game, sit together with their friends and families, and just watch soccer outside of the games and practices that you guys go to. This year, we're doing our spring game at our May 17th match. And on top of that, too, because of the great relationship that we have with you guys, every player that plays for Newton Youth Soccer and Newton Girls Soccer is able to go to that game for free, which is obviously a sick way to get the kids out there without obviously any costs for them. In addition to that, too, everybody on Thursday should receive a link that they'll be able to use to get their free tickets and get their families tickets as well. So just a general heads up about that. We're just asking you as coaches to spread the word to all your parents as you're seeing them at practices and games coming up when you're seeing them this week, and just be like, hey, did you get the note from Nick with the Revs and from the board about coming to the game? Let's organize it and go together. And yeah, just a fun way to come out. So hope to see you all there. And if obviously you're looking to bring a team or have any questions, looking to catch other games or things like that too, in addition to the game on the 17th, let me know. So.
Thanks, Nick. Newton Night at the Revs is always one of the funnest evenings of the year, and it's great when the more people we can get and that sea of orange that you see at the game, because kids almost invariably wear their jerseys, and people bring pug nets and barbecuing. What time does the parking lot open?
Usually we
4:30?
let it get going starting at like 4:30 ish. So again, when people wrap up their games on the Saturday, say you're done by 3, you get here for 4. By the time you set up, you're already cooking the burgers and dogs in the lots and setting up the pug nets, and yeah, you're spending a good time here at the stadium having fun. So and yeah, no, and we I don't know if anybody saw, but we finally got our first win this weekend in the 40-degree weather. So hopefully we can keep it up and give everybody a good game. But hey, again, even in the losses, it's more about the fun. So hope to see you there.
Definitely fun. Thank you very much,
Thanks, Nick.
Nicholas.
Okay, back to you, Cliff. Just quickly to touch on this one.
Oh yeah, all right. So one of the pieces that we've added to the program, as recently for the first time this past February break, was an international trip. For the first time, we partnered with a professional company called Go Play Sports Tours. That this is what they do for various sports, and they created a very affordable or pretty affordable, I guess it depends where you're coming from, but not crazy expensive anyway, trip to the UK. And it was the first time we had promoted it, and we wound up getting about 21 folks to attend, and they did a lot. They went to 3 professional games, I think two senior league games, and then we'll call it like a minor league game, like a Wrexham level type game, which can often be more fun. They did some playing of soccer. Depending upon how big we can grow this, we can start to get games going. But it was universally, they did the Ted Lasso tour, and a football museum tour, and also a riverboat tour of London down the Thames, which is When you go to Chicago or some of these other cities, it's that's absolutely some of the most fun tourism I think you can do. And they went to Manchester also. So it was universal. The feedback was universally positive, and so that was our first time doing it. And so we're going to do it again. We'll start promoting this more heavily, later, but we just wanted to sort of get it on your radar. We really also restricted it to just like fifth through eighth, I think, because it was our first time and we weren't sure how it was going to go, and et cetera, et cetera. So we're going to be opening it up to more of the whole club. And they've been incredibly great to work with and really like flexible. So if we got 15, third graders and then a bunch of seventh graders, they could organize some different, when it comes to the actual football activities they do, different levels and depending upon the numbers, games, etc. So it was a good time. We're going to be doing it again. And so if you've ever sort of sat around and talked, like all my parents and all, we should get these kids to go play a game in Spain. But how do you do that, et cetera, et cetera. And we're basically going to essentially be offering something like that. And I think it'll be in the UK again in this February. Then they said probably the year after they would look at Spain. They do trips in Spain, but it's a little easier for them right now in the UK. So look out for information on this. It's not for everybody, but at the same time, it was a great trip over February break, and it was a lot of fun, and we'll be talking about this more as the year goes on.
Okay, thanks, Cliff. So you're going to hear me talk for a while here, and again, if you have any questions along the way, put them in the Q&A. We'll try and answer them live, or somebody will stop me from talking, and we'll do our best to answer them so everyone can hear the answers. Some of this is going to be kind of admin related stuff, and then as we progress through, we'll get towards the soccer stuff, and I'll have Zach talk a little bit about game days and practices. But the first thing I wanted just to talk about, and you would have seen some emails from me on this, so hopefully it may be the first time, because I know we were recruiting coaches up until a week ago. Volunteering to coach a team and being a coach is one part of it, but there are some requirements that you have to go through. All volunteers, the board, myself, Zach, everyone has to go through in order to be allowed to be on the field with young players. And this is the adult registration part of the matrix. So there's kind of three elements to this that we're asking you to complete now. The first game is on Saturday. You might be practicing as early as this week. So we're going to give you a little bit of time to get this done, but there are three elements. The first one is, as a member of Mass Youth Soccer, NYS is a member of Mass Youth Soccer, and you are a coach, therefore, in Mass Youth Soccer, you have to do a registration through them. And as part of that registration, none of this costs anything. It's all free. It just does take a little bit of time. You do a registration with them for the soccer season 24-25, fall 24, spring 25. So if you did this in the fall, you're all set. But if you're new in the spring, you have to do this registration. And as part of that, you are run through a Corey check and a background check, just to make sure that we are having appropriate adults on the field with our players. The registration process, this first part in the red highlighted there, takes 10 minutes. They'll just ask you for some information. They'll process it in the background. And then I see on my end, on my dashboard, once you've done that and you're approved, and that I think the Corey lasts at least 2 years, but the registration is soccer season or soccer year requirement every soccer year. So you click that button, follow the process, make sure you put New Soccer as your organization, and it's a real quick one. Part two of this, there are some trainings that are required by US Soccer and Mass Youth Soccer, and therefore NYS. And one is a concussion training, and one is a safe sport component. Until recently, they were separated as a big mess and as a big muddle. Now they've brought everything together on what they call the US Soccer Learning Center. So the second highlighted red item there is the US Soccer Learning Center. You go in there, you create an account with the same name and hopefully email address as you did with your registration, and it's kind of hopefully pretty easy to figure out what two training sessions you need to take. The concussion one takes 25 minutes, 30 minutes. The safe sport can take 90 minutes. Um, and it can be a little bit grueling, but really, really important to make sure that we're doing what we need to do to protect the players on the field, and you guys are getting the training you need to safeguard the players. This is a yearly thing. The concussion one lasts for 2 years. Safe sport, the initial training is about 90 minutes, and then they do refreshers every year, which can be 30 minutes. Um, so there is a little bit of time commitment on this, but it is important. It is pretty informational and pretty educational and helpful, um, and it needs to be done. So what we're asking for you is to kind of get this done by mid-April. We're playing on Saturday, so it'd be great if we could have everyone done through this by then. But realistically, we're asking for you to be done by mid-April, so we're covered and cleared. And then if you come back in the fall, there'll be a new registration to do, but some of the trainings will carry over, so you won't have to do it every season you're with us. The registrar role is one of mine, and this is part of my role. So I will send this out quite a lot. You'll see this on email, but if you have any questions, or you're struggling with it, or you can't figure it out, or you have duplicate accounts, or things aren't going well, you can ask me for help, and I'll do my best to do that.
But we got to do it. Everyone has to do it. And got to pay your taxes and you got to take your concussion training.
Yeah. Ultimately, it's all about safeguarding the players, and I think that's a real important thing that we want to make sure we do. Jyoti was here, and I tried to promote it, and now she seems to go. So I guess I can just quickly talk on this, and Cliff, and if you wanted to, you can as well. But just so everyone's aware, and maybe you are already, we do have quite a big outreach program, big scholarship program, where essentially, if a player can't pay the money to play in our program, we will support them and get them into an environment where they can play soccer. We're not in the business of turning anyone away for financial reasons. It's one of I think the plus points of our program, where if you're a Newton resident or you go to school in Newton, you can play for us, whatever your situation. So just quickly wanted to pop this up there so you knew it, and if you know anybody who wants to play but is concerned they won't be able to do it for whatever reason, we're here to help. In the fall, we gave out 42 scholarships between all our programs. And the spring will probably be, close, if not more, again. Do a lot of work with the Newton Public Schools, and our coordinator, Jyoti, is amazing with it. And it doesn't just cover the playing part of it, is also uniforms as well. And we host a cleat and uniform exchange every season. We just missed it. But also if players need help with uniform expenses, the game jerseys or other bits and pieces, then we do our best to help where we can. So there is an email address there. If you need any assistance, don't be afraid to reach out. If people need help with rides, and maybe we can step in and help get players to practice in games, we'll do it. Lots of information on the website. Okay.
There's a question in the chat.
You guys are proud to be able to support this. Is when you talk to a couple of the Newton social workers that we work with, they often say, for some of these families, it's gross, in terms of paying for the program, it's scholarships or groceries, and we don't want to have them have to make that choice at all. And they're the joy to have on the field, and it's also totally confidential as well. So people can just you can find out more about it on the website. But if people are in need, you can point them to the website, and there's a section on scholarships, and they can communicate with us, and we can make it happen.
Dave, there was a question.
Oh yeah, the question is simply: are there goal differential rules in intramural? Can you beat a team 10-0, or are there some restrictions?
Can we put a pin on that? We'll get to it.
You got it.
We will bring that up for sure. Okay, so some of the logistical bits and pieces. So our field permit started yesterday, and they did open the fields. So the fields are open, fields are playable, we're ready to go. So you know, if you are a team that has a midweek practice, so if you're a third, fourth, fifth, or sixth grade team and you have a practice midweek, you can begin this week before the first game's on Saturday. And if you need equipment, you've got two options. Well, I guess you have three options, but option one would be come to one of our pickup events. The first one we'll do on Friday evening. We had some restrictions around just some scheduling issues. So usually we try and do Friday, Saturday, but we couldn't. But we have a Friday, this Friday at 6:30 till 8. If you want to pick up your equipment bag for the Saturday, you can do it then. Or if you are practicing tomorrow or Thursday or Friday early, Carl Burntorp is our equipment coordinator. You can just shoot him an email, coordinate with him, and you can swing by his house. He lives at this address there, and grab your equipment bag prior to your practice. If you do not want to do that, or you're fine just being there on Saturday, any bags that have not been picked up this Friday or before that will be at your field on Saturday morning in a pile, and I'll email and tell you where they're going to be. So if you're at Oak Hill for 9 a.m., there'll be bags there ready to go from 8. You can grab one. If you're, well, yeah, everyone's at Oak Hill apart from first grade. So if you don't pick it up on the 4th, it'll be there Saturday morning. You can, if you want to, pick it up before the 4th to practice, take to practice with you. You can do so. Just reach out to Carl. What you'll get in the bag will be cones. You'll get some pennies. The black Newton pennies, ice packs, and gloves. If you have goalkeepers, I think second graders get gloves too. Although Zach, I think we messed up that in the fall, so I'll make sure that's not messed up for the spring. So if you're a program with goalkeepers, you'll get gloves. You won't get soccer balls. There'll be no soccer balls in the bag. Don't expect those. We still ask our players to bring a ball, and you should get into the habit of asking your players to bring a ball to all events, games, and practices, so you can pick the best one out for the game. And every kid can have a ball at practice if you want to do something at practice that involves every kid with a ball. So come by on Friday. If you're new to the program, and this is your first year coaching, first spring coaching, come by. We'll give you some Newton apparel, something with their logo on it, something black, something fancy that you can wear on game day and for practices. So if you're new, come by and get something. But Carl is our guy if you want to get it before Friday or before Saturday. First grade coaches, you don't have any equipment. We'll provide everything on Saturday. You don't need to pick up anything unless you're new and you want a bit of swag. So we like to outfit our coaches so you look the part, feel the part, and enjoy it. So at least come by, say hi, come and get a piece of swag. And I know we've had a lot of questions around Corey verification. This is go back to the adult registration post. If you're not sure about how to do your Corey verification, you can do that at the pickup night as well, and I'll send out a note about what to bring and what you need if you want to do your Corey verification in person with me.
There was a question about how somebody can verify if their Corey may have expired or not. I told them to email you, Ed.
Email me, but essentially, if you do your adult registration, so if you do the adult registration part of it all, it'll either run a new Corey or it'll see that you've already it's in date and it'll just follow up. But the adult registration has to be done every year, so that's kind of the process.
And the adult registration is on MISA?
Yep. If you click that link, it will take you to an NYSA specific registration page. It will say, fall 24 spring 25 adult registration. And the Corey will trigger as part of this. And if you don't need to do a Corey, it won't do that part during this registration.
Thank you.
Okay, just quickly on it for uniform. So all the players, we ask all the players to buy the orange jersey, and part of the registration when people signed up, this link was on there. So hopefully people are prepared and have their orange jersey ready to go on game days. everyone should be wearing the orange jersey, and then when you go play someone else, one team will put on the black pennies, so it'll be orange v black. So if folks haven't got that, shoot them the link. The equipment, the uniform supplier does a pretty good job getting everyone out by the first game day. Kids require shin guards. They need to wear appropriate footwear. I put cleats in this image, but you can wear sneakers, but cleats would be preferred. We'd love kids to wear black shorts, black socks, but really, we're not asking anyone to buy additional official kit in those areas. So the orange jersey, wear shin guards for all events, wear appropriate footwear, shorts and socks, and we're good to go. And our store link is there if people need it. I'm going to kind of not breeze over this, but to try and keep this succinct, and just kind of leave these up there and send stuff offline, because I want this to be kind of an efficient meeting. But here are our key philosophies, and I think what I say every year and every season is, as you go through this, if you're a new coach or a returning coach, or you have a lot of idea of what you're doing or no idea of what you're doing, if you go through the season and each week come back to these kind of 6 things as your kind of tenets, kind of your philosophies, then I think you can't go wrong. And these are what we kind of believe in. So to reference Dave's question about can you win 10-0, the answer is you can win 10-0, but that doesn't really serve development for anybody. The players who are on the losing side of that 10-0 won't have fun and develop. And they might develop a sort of distaste for soccer. Losing 10-0, they might not enjoy themselves, but they won't develop their skills. And the team who win 10-0 won't develop, problem solving around how do you, if the game is already 10-0, where's our development? Because this is too easy. What can we do to challenge ourselves? So we want teams to be competitive and win, but we want them to come into NYS as a player and leave as a better player. So that progression will happen over time. And we believe competitive teams will come and winning will come, but development and skill development and character development is kind of the priority for this program in particular, but generally across the board. From first grade through 12th, we want our coaches to remember we want development over winning. And if we can develop good players, winning will become a habit. In the IM program and most of our programs, everyone should play. Everyone should be part of this. We don't keep scores in the intramural program. We are interested to see if there are blowout scores and why that happened, but we're not particularly interested if you win every game of the season, or we'd love you to be 500, which basically means you're not going to play your best players all the time. You're going to play everyone an equal amount of time. So, it's important that our players experience the game, enjoy the game, experience different positions, and play as much as their peers do, whether they're a new player, a developing player, or a strong player. So keep in mind as you do your games that everyone should be playing pretty much half the game. You'll have times where that just won't happen because you'll only have enough for one sub, and some kids might play more, but everyone should try and play half the game and make it as even as possible. Every kid
I was just going to add a couple of things, Ed. Is this a good time?
No, please, yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to say there are lots of things we can do to sort of minimize blowouts, which, as Ed mentioned, really isn't great for anybody. We often used to have minimum number of passes, scoring with only your weak feet, shots from a certain distance. And there are a number of these techniques on the website, but if necessary, discreetly pull a player. There are lots of techniques to stop the scoring and make it challenging for your people. And so I encourage folks to do that.
The fourth one is positive. We are a positive coaching club. What does that mean? Very simply, we're not a screamy, shouty sideline coach. We want our players to make their own decisions. So trying to refrain from telling them what to do at every step of the way. You can encourage them to remember where they're supposed to be on the field and ask guided questions about what they could have done to result in a better outcome, but we're trying to be in an environment where this is fun. They want to come back every week and play, and shouty, screamy coaches won't fly in this program. So, the game day is supposed to be the best part of the week. Win, lose, or tie, be positive, have fun with it, and if you're positive and have fun with it, the players will do too. Zero tolerance, we're going to talk about a little bit later. When it comes to referees. And the last point is the community representative. So, we are a big program. We take over a lot of Newton Fields on Saturdays and during the week, and trying to remember who you are representing when your players are on the field and you're out is important. So wearing the right attire, have the kids wear the orange so people know who we are. And I do believe you look good, you feel good, you play good. But also things like, we're picking up trash after we leave the fields. We're friendly and courteous to our opposition coaches. If you go to a practice field and a high school is using it or another youth sports group is using it, we're not jerks about the space. We work together to be to be good people in the town of Newton. So yeah, I think if you can come back to these six points during the season and think, am I doing these things? And you are, then you're on the right track, and we're in good shape.
I would encourage everybody as coaches to have their kids, to rotate the kids through basically every position. And for the most part, including goalie, maybe in 5th, 6th grade, kids can opt out of goalie, but 3rd and 4th grade, and certainly 2nd, everybody should be taking turns for at least a half during the season in the goal and on defense. And if if you have three layers, then a midfield and an attack. I mean, at the end of the day, I think we all know we probably have a team of 12 strikers. Everybody wants to score, although kids will gravitate naturally towards, certain things that they favor. And by all means, if they're getting extra shifts because of your numbers, you need to play some more kids, that's a good time where you can play them at their preferred positions. But we really want to develop well-rounded players. And as the kids move up, if they continue to play, the more versatile they are, the more they will play at whatever level they're at, because they're going to have more skills and more knowledge. So, I also think it translates into more fun. So I really, really, really encourage you to move the kids around in their position. I mean, you can play somebody for this game on the forward, and then the next game they play defense. Sometimes, maybe that's a good formula because that allows them to make some mistakes in the beginning. They come out, you can talk to them, they can go back in, they can work on those mistakes. But then next game, move them to a different position. You figure that piece out, or ask us, how you think, for help. But I would definitely encourage you to do that. All right, I'm out.
All right, Zach. So Zach, I'm just gonna have Zach talk quickly about practice day, game day, and again, these are the touch points you have with your players. So the positive coaching part is huge here. But Zach, take it away.
Yeah, so on our practice days, you want to have your before, during, and after practice segments. Before, the main key here is just being prepared. Know who's going to be there. Try to get a list of how many you're going to have. If you're going to have 8, plan your session around 8. If you're going to have 6, maybe adapt on if you can. But just knowing what you're going to have beforehand is super helpful to plan that session. When you plan a session, just try to figure out what you're trying to achieve that day. Like if it's, let's focus on how we're making our forward passes or how we're attacking in the final third, stuff like that. Just try to keep to your plan as much as you can. When it comes to planning sessions, if you do need assistance, please reach out to me. I'm happy to help any way possible. But now during your practice, get there a little early, 15, 20 minutes, so you can be prepared again. Make sure you've got cones, pennies, enough equipment for everything, and then ultimately set up your field. Try to have, if you have 2 or 3 activities, set them both up so that while you're transitioning from one activity to the other, you're not losing attention spans from the kids, because at that point they can get a quick water break and then you can just transition right to your other activity. As kids start arriving, just make sure you're addressing them, saying hi, hello, greeting them, ask a little question. How was math today or something like that? Just try to communicate as much as possible. And as you're having your practice, make sure you're being efficient. Again, referring to your achievements, what your goals to be each day. The big thing here is just, again, making it fun, keeping them engaged. Again, we know they might not have the strongest attention spans right now, but do your best to keep them engaged and keep them on target as much as possible. At the end of the practice, debrief with yourself, with your assistant coaches, with the players. Ask the follow-up questions. Was it challenging? Did they improve? Was it fun? What are things I can improve on as a coach? What are things that we might need to change moving forward for the next day? And then again, make sure players are safe leaving, make sure everyone gets a ride home, make sure you're probably the last one to leave. Again, young kids, make sure they're all with a parent, adult, or someone that they can go home with safely. And then when you get home, just quickly evaluate your session. What can you change? How can you be prepared for the next day? And then learn as we go day to day. And again, if you have questions, if this practice didn't work, this was my session, reach out to me. I'm happy to help. I'm always around on my email. And again, I do this stuff all the time. So again, I'd love to get out there with you if I can. So we can go on to the game unless you have something to add.
Yeah, just quickly. So practices will if you are new to this, or you find yourself with a challenging group or a rambunctious group, practices can be the most challenging part of the program. If you have 60 or 75 minutes, one thing that I'd encourage you all to do, or I'd ask you all to do generally, is finish your practice with the game. So whatever you do in a practice, end it with a scrimmage, whether that's 5v5, 4v4, if you've got 15 kids, 7v7 with a sub or whatever. And everyone loves the game, right? The game is what they're there for. And if you have challenging groups or you have behavioral issues, that's a great incentive, right? If we can execute these two exercises that we're going to do, this dribbling exercise and this shooting exercise, we're going to play for 30 minutes. It's going to be great. And if behavior becomes an issue, that's when you can start saying, right, well, now we can only play for 15 minutes and use that. But try and have the game be the end goal. Play the game at the end of your practice, and use that sort of the carrot if you have behavioral issues or you have a group of busy boys. But yeah, I mean, if you end with a game, they're going to have fun, and then they'll want to come back again for sure.
Just a couple more items from me on the practice front. So in general, third, fourth, and fifth, sixth, the idea is that you organize one practice. But that's not to say, number one, that you can't have more than one. And number two, that's also not to say that first and second grade coaches can't have a practice. When my younger ones were coming through those grades, sort of coming back to Mason Rice, I would get, and we can help you, but I knew who the other coaches were at Mason Rice because there were so many kids that played. And I just emailed them and I said, hey, let's just run, once or twice a week, a hour, 45-minute, kick around at the playground at Mason Rice, after school. So 3:30, and usually one or two of the other parents could help. And so it was right at school. And of course, we invited everybody from, all the kids that played, first grade soccer or second grade soccer at Mason Rice. So that is a possibility. If you conceivably have that kind of availability, you're 1,000%, welcome to take the ball and run with it. And the kids will love you for that. And the other thing just about practices in general, and this might not work for younger kids, but I would think starting in third grade, I found this YouTube thing. I think I Googled the sort of, warm up things, but there was some thing called 1,000 touches. And basically it was just different. It was kettlebell bells, and then, you kick it back and forth, and you do toe taps, and you do these different touches on the ball. And I would frequently start out the practice that way because kids would come in sort of streaming, and they would sort of know, oh, okay, now I got to get a ball and I got to get these touches in. And it allowed kids that arrived late, hey, they just got half the amount of touches, but it's a little bit tiring, which is good. And it also allowed, at least at that initial thing, it's not like I had to have everybody there, like at the moment, I had to run like clockwork because, we all recognize, not everybody makes it at exactly the same time. So if you can create something at the beginning that can be a little fluid, that could really benefit you in terms of getting everybody in. Oh, now they're all here. Okay, now we can do the two or three things that I sort of planned on addressing. So just a couple cheat codes, but Zach and Ed have 10 million more, and there are all kinds of resources out there. I found a book lit called 64 Small-Sided Games, which I wound up downloading. I don't think it cost me anything, and it was just all these little game ideas, different tags, and you kick passing to the kids on the outside, they got to come in, and then if you connect anyway, there's a million of them. You can decide which ones you like, but lots and lots and lots of resources out there. All right, that's my spiel.
Thank you. All right, on to game day, the most fun, exciting day of the week, Saturdays. Again, before the game, just make sure you're prepared. Know who's going to be home, who's going to be away. The away team will always wear pennies. The goals should always be in place. If they are not, just help out. There should be nearby. If not, grab me. I'll be around. We can always move the goals in as much as possible. But they, again, should be close. They should be in the places that they need to be. The lines are.
Hold on, Zach. So Zach and I spent an hour and a half on Monday moving all the goals at Oak Hill into their place, and I guarantee none of them are still in place when you come to there on Saturday. So this is kind of important. If you're the 9 a.m. first game of the day, or you're the 8:30 second grade game, be prepared to maybe move some goals, because we share those fields with Newton South Across, the middle schools. They go walkies. They are labeled, but I would imagine you might need to get there a little bit earlier and just help the pros or help whoever's around move. So grab a parent, move the goals.
I would say game day, please plan to be there 15 minutes ahead of time. I mean, I think the same for practices, and I know we're all busy and we're coming from this, that, and the other, but to whatever extent you can just schedule it for yourself, if you're at 9 o'clock, to be there no later than 8:45, even 5-10 minutes earlier than that, because there are going to be things missing. Going to be sandbags. There's going to be some standing water you got to cone up. There's going to be things that you absolutely don't, can deal with. So please plan on that.
And even to echo that too, I know parking at Oak Hill can kind of be a pain. So there's an 8:30 session for the second graders, and again, those fill up quickly. So if you're the 9 o'clock slot, try to get there at 8:30, just so you've got the time to park, get your player to where they need to be right away, and then hopefully they can just get right into it, find their fields. Again, the nets are labeled, so you should be able to know where to go, and then just have them get right into a warm up. And again, with warm ups, have them actually moving, like a dynamic, rather than a stagnant stretching. Just have them running around with the ball if they're passing or dribbling or doing something, just to get them nice and warm before the game. And then during the game, as we talked about, positive coaching. Again, be encouraging, let them make their decisions, let them make their mistakes. That's the best way that kids can learn. You can correct and reward after the fact. If I take a shot and I miss terribly, just pull me over and say, oh, that's a great shot, but maybe try to pass here next time. And it says no robots. And I was confused by this last meeting, but that just means, we don't want to hear run, 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 or pass, kick. Those are all things they know that they should be doing. So again, the coaching stuff can be like, oh, I love that. Maybe try to pass to Timmy next time or something like that. As we talked about, appropriate playing time. Every kid should be playing the same amount if they can, depending on subs. Obviously, manage your subs the best you can. The kids can be a little rambunctious on the sidelines. I've seen that. I know Ed has seen that. I know Dave Cliff has seen that. So do your best to manage them. Utilize assistant coaches, parents, anyone else like that can help. At the end of the game, do a quick high five line, applaud, or say good game to the other team, no matter who it was, just to show good sportsmanship. Again, at the end of the day, we're all Newton families, players, so we're all going to develop together. Debrief super quick. Again, as I said, the time slots will be filled up next with another game. So good game, solid effort, nice teamwork. Keep it rather simple, and then have them leave, depart, make sure, again, everyone has a ride home. And then at that next practice, talk about what we can work on a little bit more moving forward. As the game concludes, make sure, again, clean up the area around the bench. Just, again, no trash. We don't want to leave things behind. I always yell at the end of my practices, make sure to leave anything behind. Water bottles, jackets, sweatshirts. And again, I get stuck with 14 different sweatshirts that don't fit me. So it's kind of, consider what went well, what needs to improve. And again, like I said, debrief moving forward to what we can work on for that next practice and see how we can work towards the next game.
Game day should be the most enjoyable part of this for everyone, including you as coaches. So, relish it, enjoy it, be friendly to your opponent. Everyone's Newton. It's Newton v Newton. There might be, village pride on the line, but there's nothing beyond that. So, have fun, enjoy it, and if you need help, we're here. You and your players are not the only people involved in this program. There will be parents and spectators, grandmas and brothers and sisters and dogs and this, that, and the other who come watch the game. We have some rules around what they can and can't do. What's really helpful here is you sharing this. I can send this out a million times. I'm sure the majority of my emails and definitely ones from the club are, hit the junk and aren't seen. So having you reinforce this with your parents is kind of crucial for us. So spectators are welcome at every game, obviously, and practices too, if you want that. I tend to prefer a drop-off scenario, which is allowed. But they are allowed to be at the game, watch and enjoy it, cheer, applaud, get excited, celebrate. What they can't do is coach, because that's your job. They can't complain about any calls the referee makes, and we'll touch on that a bit more in the next slide. They can't engage the referee at all. They shouldn't really be talking to the other team's players. And they shouldn't be anywhere near your sidelines. So when you see the field maps in a little bit, and if returning, you should know this. There is a coach and player sideline, and then there is a spectator sideline, and it's the other side of the field, far away from you and your players, to avoid distractions or listening in to what you're saying, or just being that distraction in a kid's eyes where mum's right there. So I'm not going to listen to coach. I'm going to listen to mum. It's not that. It's got to be you and the players one side, and the spectators the other. So we obviously want this to be an encouraging environment. But you're the coach. Be the coach, and make sure that if you hear anything, have one ear now and again. Is anything going on across the field there? And if it is, nip it in the bud, try and stop it, prevent it. And a great way to set that expectation is to do a team meeting before the season. But please share this with your families, so they know, the expectation on them as well.
I also found that creating a little bench area, maybe with 4 cones, bringing a bench, really keeps the kids consolidated in a much easier fashion. Otherwise, they're wandering around, and you really don't look like a soccer club.
Yeah, and there's nothing that pains me more to see a coach engage in a game with 7 kids behind him throwing a football around. So try and keep them part of it on the sideline as the subs. Dave, do you want to tackle this one just on some of the updates?
Sure. We're not playing the video tonight, or we are?
I hadn't put it on here, but there is a link.
All right.
Watch it.
So Respect the Call is a new initiative that was handed down by actually U.S. Soccer, adopted by Mass Youth Soccer, and our local travel league, Bays, and is adopted by all the clubs and applies to intramural town teams as well. And it's effectively the new generation of the zero tolerance policy that I spoke to you about at the beginning of the season. And the effort is to protect what are mostly child refs. Newton, at least, and especially the town leagues, are almost predominantly refereed by minors. My kid's ref. The number one reason children stop reffing is because they feel intimidated or threatened or yelled at by adults. And so this new policy, and it's new, it literally was announced a month ago, is an effort to codify sort of some of the penalties they're going to apply to misconduct towards referees, officials. And And it applies, interestingly, not only to the players and the coaches, but also to the parents. And Ed just mentioned the parent meeting to set expectations at the beginning of the year, and it's extremely important that the parents understand that these new penalties are fairly significant, and it ranges really from anything like belittle and insulting, taunting behavior, calling names, to pretty serious things of a physical nature. Touching a referee, strictly prohibited, and even just accidentally, kicking a ball in anger and hitting a referee can lead to sanctions, both in terms of games suspended and weeks durational suspensions. So there are also minor multipliers. So virtually, as I said, all of our refs are minors. If one of these violations is reported by a minor, and remember, minors aren't always filtering sort of behavior through the same filter that an adult might, but if the perceived conduct by a minor ref is a violation, the sanctions are triple. Ed, will you go to the next slide, and just so we can sort of show everybody how this lays out? So there are examples of all of these sorts of behaviors on the website, and you can simply Google MISA or Bays referee misconduct, and this will come up. But the matrix shows you specifically sort of what is going to happen. There is a right to appeal this through the league, but it's onerous. It costs a huge amount of money. I think it's $500 to appeal. So most people are just going to sit out for their minimum games. First offense, second offense is a multiplier as well. And then physical conduct, obviously very serious, and discriminatory acts are the most serious, sort of non-physical. This is basically the zero tolerance policy on steroids. So you've got the same policy, which is not to communicate with the refs, other than really for 3 or 4 insular reasons. Number one, you can alert the ref to a substitution. Number two, you can alert the refs to an injury on the field. You can have your players communicate with the ref, ask them how much time is left, but you really cannot complain about calls. Your parents cannot complain about calls. And if it rises to the level of harassment, either physical or non-physical, you're going to see sort of these penalties handed down. This is an experiment for our club. We've never lived through this. We're about to see what happens. I will say that offenses are published on the MISA website, the Wall of Shame. You basically are listed. If you're an adult, if you're a child, your name is not listed, but you're there. And it shows what your penalty is and how long you have to sit out. So we'll monitor this as it goes on. But we're hopeful, because Newton actually has historically had very good data. And by good data, I mean we've had very few zero tolerance violations for the largest club in the state. So we're hopeful that that sort of respect continues. If there are any questions, we're happy to sort of field them either this evening or throughout the season. Anything else, Cliff or Ed?
The intramural program, historically, we've been very fortunate to have great coaches who are very respectful to our referees. All of the referees in the intramural program, and we have referees at 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th grade, 6th to 8th grade, right? So every single one of our referees is a minor, and this new policy applies in our program. So we wanted to share it with you to know that, questioning any sort of call that our referees make, who are very young, and some may have only been doing this for 1 season so far, it's just not acceptable. So, if you have a referee who is not good or not great or is not helpful, tell us via the referee coordinator Sana and the email on the address down there. Tell us, don't tell them, right? It just you can't engage a referee, especially in the in any program now, pretty much about anything apart from the occasions Dave mentioned, the substitute, and an issue on the field or an injury. So just tell us if you think a referee needs support, help, more training, or is not appropriate to be in the program. We'll listen to it and take action. But these are pretty significant. If a report was made, in the non-physical yellow level there, the first level, a minimum of 2 games suspension. But because all our referees are minors, that's 6 games. So we're not in the business of having any of this come into our program this year. So wanted to share this, not to scare anyone, but say like, hey, this is another level on top of the zero tolerance, of which I think we did a pretty good job generally in the fall. I don't remember many reports of referees feeling threatened or harassed, but this is a big push from US soccer at the top to get this under control.
I would add just 2 items to this. One is please don't go up to the refs after the game. I mean, I guess you can pay them a compliment or something, but don't question calls or come up after the game. That can be seen as very intimidating to a kid. And I found in general the best way to make sure that it's a very smooth experience is possibly before the game. If you know that some refs have been misunderstanding calls, like do the kids have to back up to the center stripe on goal kicks? That can be you can ask those questions at the beginning before the game starts. Check in. Hey, are we playing where the by the rules where the kids have to back up to the midfield stripe on goal kicks, or are we allowed to punt over the midfield stripe, or is there offsides if you're unclear about that? I always found that was a kind of disarming and warm opportunity to communicate, because once it starts, first of all, everything should always be super respectful, but you really don't want to be interacting with the coaches, with the refs, because it's going to come across as, hey ref, why'd you make that call? And it's just almost always how it gets perceived, and so the less is more on that front. But anyway, whatever you can do to help, we know you'll do your part. And we haven't had problems really in the IM program, and this applies to spectators. Also, parents on the sideline should not be yelling, "Hey ref, that kid pushed my kid." And so that falls on you to also communicate, to your parents. So not an easy one, and one we have to tread carefully around.
For sure. Okay, just moving on. Just conscious of time. The dates and schedules are out. The dates are on the calendar. The first game is this Saturday. We go all the way through June 7th. We do skip Memorial Day weekend, but we do play both sides of vacation week, and we don't typically cancel. So I had a question midweek about, most of my team are away on this particular day in vacation week. What do I do? And the answer is whoever's around will continue to play, and that might mean you have 3 kids from your team and 6 from their team, and you've got 9 total on the scheduled game. Play 4v4, make the field smaller. We do something. So, if you have a question around availability, or you need to have a solution to something, reach out. But we go 10 weeks skipping that Memorial Day weekend, so you play 9 game weekends. The schedule for the practices is on the practice grid if you're a 3rd through 6th grade team, and if you a lot of this doesn't apply to 1st grade, but if you are a 2nd through 6th grade coach, you should be able to find your game schedule in your newtonsoccer.org account on the calendar tab. So if you see that second picture there, you log in, click calendar, and it should show you your game schedule in there. But again, we try and overshare this sort of stuff. So if you can't find it or you need access to it, just please reach out. We provide TeamSnap for you. If you want to use it, it's a communication tool. Teams are preloaded in there, including you as coach. You would have received an invite to join the team. You may not have known what it was about. So if you don't find it or need me to resend it, I can. And then you just have to go in, invite all your players who are already in there. You just need to click invite, and then you can use that if you'd like. It's a good app. Works as like a text message service. You can add your schedule in there, track availability, this, that, and the other. So it's a cool tool if you want it. I put so we mentioned it a few times. Try and hold a team meeting if you can. Do a quick Zoom. Do a quick thing before your first practice. Do a quick thing before your first game. Just set some expectations. Talk about the parent responsibilities. Talk about referees. Talk about the uniform. We can provide you a template. We have it on our website, and I'll link to it later if you need it. Just some talking points about what they can expect and what they should. What they can expect from you and what you can expect from them, just so we're kind of all on the same page. Dealing with issues is a lot easier during the season or after the season if you have set your stall out at the beginning with a team meeting. Arrival times, uniforms, behavior is a lot easier to tackle if you set your standards prior to the season. It's very difficult to go back and say, oh yeah, but you should know this if they weren't told it. So try and do a team meeting. And then just the resources that you have. So, some people have had to convince to coach, may not have done it before, or may be a little bit apprehensive about doing this. You're not alone. You don't need experience. Cliff, I think, is a great example of someone who kind of came into it cold and now is running the whole operation. So you can do a lot of good by being energetic and excited and positive. And pick things up along the way. But if you need help at any point, the first two people you can come to is myself and Zach. And Zach has been a honestly great addition to the club in terms of his soccer knowledge, but also his just enthusiasm for being out on the field and being part of the game. So, he's a great person if you need help on the field with ideas, sessions, just some general support, and then I'm around as well for all that and more, and some of the registrar stuff and practice fields and general questions, and you want to know about next year and what's the future holds. I can also do that as well. So please use us. We're here for you, and we also have a coach resource center on the website. And we're hoping to have a new website soon, so it's looking very old and tired. It will be in the future improved and flashy. But if you want to pick a session plan off the website, you want a team meeting sample agenda, and you want to watch this video again, you can go into the resource center and find everything in there that you might need. Or if you don't want to do that and you just want to ping us an email, we'll direct you in the right direction. So please use us whenever you need help. Okay, the next kind of, we're nearly at the end here, folks. The next kind of four slides. We just want to basically break down the grade group. So, as we go through this, if you're a 5th and 6th grade coach, you're up first. We're just going to touch on your grade group and some of the differences and bits and pieces. And then if you want to take off and you have no questions, feel free to leave. We won't keep you any longer. First grade, you are last. So please stick around because you're kind of not the most important, but one of the cornerstones of our program. So we want to give that the most attention. So our 5th and 6th grade program is huge. 130 odd kids. I think we've got 8 teams, which is great. It gets bigger every year. You guys play 9v9. You're on Saturdays at 9 or 10:30. The schedule came out, and you will play your games at Oak Hill. And we have the D1 and D2 fields up at Oak Hill. You'll see them there. They run along Wheeler Road. Zach and I set them up, and you'll see I was talking earlier about the spectator sideline and the team sideline. You'll see that on the map as well. That's kind of what we want to have. The teams set up in the middle. So you'll have 4 teams in that little space, 2 looking at D2, 2 looking at D1, and the spectators on the other side. You guys play 30-minute halves, so your game is 60 minutes with a quick 5-minute halftime. In years past, I've really talked a lot about these systems of play, but if you're not sure about, hey, how do I set up my 9 kids on the field? What does that look like? Here's kind of what we recommend. So that's the kind of the shape, the formation that we'd like to see. But there's flexibility there. That's just our preference as a club. But if you find something that works better, or you're more comfortable in another formation, that's okay. But 3-1-3-1 is our preferred formation. Equal playing time, generally speaking, everyone should play half the game, so 30 minutes out of the 60. Some kids might play more, but no one should play less. And try and make it as fair as possible across the board. Rotate them as much as you can. You might not get every kid playing goalkeeper during the season, but try and share the wealth. Or if you have a kid who loves to play in goal, maybe he plays a half every other game. We still want players to be exposed to different positions on the field. The equipment bag. So just quickly on the equipment bag, if you were hoping to practice this week, they are on delay. We will have them hopefully by Friday or Saturday at the very latest, but you might not be able to snag it before then. So if you do want to go out and practice this week, and you desperately need some bits and pieces, we'll find some for you, but you might not get your official coach bag until Saturday morning. But if you pick it up on Saturday, it'll be kind of where that little baseball diamond is, softball diamond, little league diamond, whatever that diamond is, they'll be kind of there ready for you to collect. There is a rules document you can refer to. I've linked here, and I'll send this document out so you have it. But check out the rules. If you have any questions, I'm the coordinator this year. Look at that, lucky me. And that's 5th and 6th grade, Oak Hill. And this is a group where those goals are going to go walkies, because I think the cross field overlaps that D2 field pretty much completely. So you might need to retrieve those goals. Good news is they are on wheels, right, Zach? Okay, if there's no questions, Jeff, I can't see the Q&A again, so presuming we're good.
No question.
All right, 3rd and 4th grade. Thank you, 5th and 6th grade. You're free to leave. 3rd and 4th grade. You guys are also Oak Hill. Look, everyone's at Oak Hill, apart from our wee ones. You are Oak Hill. You're 7v7, so six field players, 1 goalkeeper. Your games are also 9 o'clock for all 3rd grade games. So all our 3rd grade teams will arrive for 9 a.m. kickoff games. So be there for 8:30, 8:25, move a few goals. You, for game day, play 30-minute halves, so an hour game, 5-minute halftime. There's our preferred formation for 7v7. And you have your 1 weekly practice on your schedule that I think most people have scheduled by now, but if not, reach out. Again, the equal playing time, we want to have positional rotation, so trying to have everyone see every position. Again, we'd love everyone to play goalkeeper as much as you can convince them. Ask for volunteers. Try not to use the same kid who volunteers every week, and rotate through those positions. You could do 1 kind of position a game, or you could do 2 a game, but trying to expose these kids to different positions is kind of key. Your fields are the A1, A2, B1, B2. So they run from the top of the where the little parking lot is, all the way to the tree line. Be honest, B2 is in pretty rough shape, right, Zach? Was that the worst one? The further up the field you go, the nicer the conditions are. But hopefully we'll get some growth as things start to germinate in the next couple of days. So Catherine did an amazing job with the 3rd grade teams. We've had people sign up until today, and we're still adding here and there. But thank you to Catherine; she did an awesome job, and Kevin at 4th grade as well. Really got these teams out early in good time, so we could do the schedule and hopefully get everyone kind of ready to go, which is great. And we've got a couple of high school volunteers in these grades as well, which is always fun to see. So look out for Seth and Hernan from Seth, the MVP of the state final, coaching a team at 4th grade with his buddy Hernan, who was also on that team, and Nikita in third grade, assistant coach as part of that team as well. I got some high school champions on the sidelines for the boys to get excited about, which is fun.
That's awesome.
Thank you, third and fourth grade coaches. Unless you have questions, you're obviously free to leave. And then our second graders also at Oak Hill. This one works a little bit differently. So if you're returning, you'll be pretty familiar with how the second grade program works, but you're using the C fields, C1, C2, C3, C4, and pretty much they're set up exactly like that map. You have a 75-minute slot, so there are 5 session times. So it works. It's not game times. These are when your program starts, 8:30 through 11:30. 2 teams will arrive at the same field. So say 2 teams arrive at C1 for 8:30. The first 25 minutes of that 75-minute session will be with a professional coach from our friends at ProPath, where Zach comes from. And that professional coach will call both teams in and run a 25 to 30-minute, essentially a practice, 2 exercises usually. You can be seen as your warm-up, but also get some technical coaching with your support. But the pro will lead a curriculum-based session with your players. I will send out that session on the Friday before the Saturday. I'll also remind you of the schedule of what field your team is on at what time. But each week you'll see a professional from ProPath. It might be one or the other. There's actually 3 of them rotating through, and you'll see them for 25 minutes, and then you'll go play your game. So after the 25 minutes with the pro is done, where you've done a couple of exercises, you've helped out as much as possible, a referee will arrive, a young referee, a new referee will arrive, check the teams in, set you up, go back to your sidelines, and you'll play then your 40-minute game, 2 20s with a 5-minute break. You have a goalkeeper, you have hopefully this diamond formation, kind of a 1-2-1 with a goalkeeper, and you'll go play your game.
For first and second grade coaches, I would strongly recommend you communicate to the parents that they plan to arrive. I'm big on this phraseology. Plan to arrive 10 minutes ahead of the start time for the session, if not 15 minutes. I mean, you pick. But that we have pro coaches and they're going to start on time. And it's really disruptive for kids to come streaming in, 7 minutes into the exercise. And it sort of messes up what the coach, every people have to stop and get the new player situated. So for first, and that's true in first and second grade, where we have pro coaches in third and up. They're getting there, they're getting warmed up, they're warming up before a game. If they arrive 5 minutes into a warm-up, that's like okay. But for first and second grade, really communicate that they arrive ahead of time. And maybe the first week, when they don't, at the end of the game, you say, hey, parents, let's make sure that your kids are here on time for next week, early for next week's session. So they have their cleats on and they have a ball and they're ready to go for the pro coaches.
Right. And the emphasis there is we tell the pros start on time, however many you have. So, this is an extra service, hopefully, for the kids and you as coaches. So if he's got out of the 20, 18 kids, if there are 5 of them, we're gonna begin with that few. So try not to disrupt the flow, but also get the most out of what the program is kind of what we want to achieve. The goals might need to be retrieved, so please allow some time. If you're the 8:30 or the 9:15, you might need to just add 5 minutes to help set the goals up with the sandbags. The pros will help for sure, because they'll be there first. But do what you can. The Iron Rules link is there if you want to check out the rules. Anything I didn't mention here. Mark Rice did an amazing job, fall and spring, whipping these teams together quickly. We were able to add a couple of teams to make them a little bit smaller. So hopefully more playing time, less substitution headaches for everyone. But it was he was super helpful. So we really appreciate him and Mark's help. And he's available if you have questions around the logistics or the team or who the coach is. Sorry, who your players are. And then last but by no means least, our first grade program. So we couldn't fit any more fields over at Oak Hill, so we decided to put you guys at our second favorite intramural field, and that is at Nahanton. A nice secluded, beautiful field, not too far from Oak Hill on the south side. And if you are a returning first grade coach, we have added a field. We took away a time slot, and we just try to make this a little bit more efficient here, both for the professionals that we hire, but also to keep it a little bit more succinct in the morning. So there are 3 time slots that you will have. It is in your team name, and you're the same every week. So there's no rotating schedule here. If you're at 8:30, you're at 8:30 for the program every week throughout. You'll always be on the same field to meet. So if you're team 1, the Pelicans, 8:30 field 1 is your location every week. And again, try and be there early, because 8:30 starts. 8:30 hits, we're starting. The first 25 minutes of your morning will be with a coach from the New England Revolution. They'll work with your team and your team only for 25 minutes. We've got a new curriculum for the spring that Zach has worked on. We're going to do with the play model is no more. So you'll see more traditional exercises, 2 different games that the kids will go through with a focus on some technical elements. But what's really key for us in this first 25 minutes, when it's the pro coach with your team of 15 or so players, that you are part of it and not just there, but kind of actively engaged and helping with both crowd control, but also coaching bits and pieces, helping the kids who may need extra help, or challenging the kid who finds something very easy. And let the pro be the overall coach, but you be right there as the assistant, helping, be part of it. Don't stand on the sidelines and watch him do his thing. Be engaged, be part of it. How can I help? What can I do? The coaches that we hire will know this and expect it, and I'm going to ask them to obviously try and use you as much as possible to help to make this really as organized and as efficient as possible. 25 minutes can go like that if it's a lot of corralling and re-explaining, and having more than one voice for that number of kids is really, really helpful. So we're going to ask a little bit more of you in terms of your engagement in this first part. You don't need to know everything. I will share the curriculum with you. You'll see what the session's going to be. The pros will have it. You'll kind of know what to expect. And that first 25 minutes should be all hands on deck, coaching the players through some exercising, having fun with them, being part of them. And Zach's got a lot of games in this curriculum, which involves you doing something, right? So running around, chasing the kids, being the defender, being the nuisance that they have to get away from as a technical exercise. So be prepared for this hour to be involved in the first 25 minutes of the program, of the session, running around, being part of it. So they'll be wearing your blue suede shoes, come with your sneaks and your cleats, ready to go. You don't need to wear shin guards, but everything else would be great. And then after the 25 minutes is done, the pro's going to say, great job, guys. Go back to your coaches. Hopefully there's 2 coaches per team, or a coach and a helper. And for the following 30 minutes, you'll go play a game. For week 1, you're going to stay on your field and just play within your team. So you've got 15 kids. You're going to split them into 2 teams of 7, one of 7, one of 8. Half of you will wear pennies. You'll have some subs, and you'll play 4v4, no goalkeepers, kind of in a rough kind of diamond formation, and you'll go play a 30-minute game. The teams are big, right? We've got 15 or 16 players sometimes per team. Now, when you look at that, you think that's a lot of subs for 4v4, but it's not. That 16 player team will be split into two groups of 8 or 7. And there's your 4 + 3 subs, or 4 + 4 subs, allowing you to just keep the game going. So for 30 minutes, it should just be pure soccer games going on these 4 fields. You don't need to do a half time or, unless it's really, really warm out, a whole team water break. If kids are tired, you go sub, 4 on, 4 off every 5 or 6 minutes. You can do a line change and keep the game going. This will be coached by you. The professionals will stick around. They'll help out. If you don't have a second volunteer, maybe they'll cover one of the teams for you. So, you and the pro will hopefully work together for that whole hour to make this program work. It's 4v4, no goalkeeper. The idea is continuous action. So if a ball pops out of play, throw another one in and say new ball, and off we go again. If it goes out on the parent sideline, have them kick it back in and keep the game going as much as possible. If it comes up to be a cluster and you've got 8 kids around the ball in a corner and nothing's happening, throw a new ball in, new ball, and away we go down the other end. So the idea of this program, because first grade is really important to us, because if they have a good experience here, they'll hopefully stay for a long time, is lots of play, a really efficient hour where they feel like they've done a lot, and when they leave at the end of that hour, they're buzzing to come back and play again next week. And that a big part of that is your interaction, your engagement, knowing what field, knowing the curriculum, knowing the rotations when we get to game rotations, and we'll talk about that in email a little bit about week 2 and week 3 and beyond. So as a long sort of speech there about first grade, we've made some changes to try and juice it up a little bit, keep it a little bit more efficient and less chaotic. But a lot of it relies on your interaction and your engagement. It relies a lot on our pro coaches, and they're going to be briefed pretty hard on what we want from them too. But we want to provide the most support, but also ask for a lot of interaction from you.
I love the the Juji updates to how the program will flow. That sounds awesome. Were we on the Hampton in the fall?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great because you guys may not know this unless you have younger kids that came through, but sometimes first grade has had to go on some pretty challenging fields. And it's awesome that it gets to be at Hampton, which is usually pretty plush, pretty nice fields, and kind of a fairly good, I think, parking situation. So that's great that it can be at that location, and those enhancements sound awesome. And thank you, Laura, for all your hard work helping to put these groups.
Big shout out to Laura, whose son is actually not playing, decided he didn't want to play this spring. So Laura did it, out of the goodness of her heart, she did it anyway. So,
or I have him go with you, bring an orange jersey in your backpack just in case, like open and say, yeah, you just have to check out opening weekend. And then all of a sudden he'll be like, oh, I got to get out there. Just throw the jersey on him.
Exactly. You'll see me on Saturday, this Saturday coming. I'll be there, certainly for the first session, just to get the pros going. You don't need to bring any equipment. The pros we have little black pennies that we'll distribute. The pros will have pennies too. They'll have cones. Players should bring balls. So you just have to show up with your player and your team and kind of have at it and be ready to go. So we're excited to get going on Saturday. That concludes. I don't want to. What's that? Hour and a half, nearly to the minute. So if anyone who's left has a question, please ask it. Otherwise, I skipped that one too quick.
I mean, I haven't seen any questions. I think, usually in the spring it's mostly returning folks, so that's good. We'll see what happens with the weather. We have a couple of extra weekends built in if we do get pushed back. But if we do, it means those fields should be really nice and green and in good shape by the following week. So and a lot of times, frankly, we can't start because of snow. I haven't had that in a couple of years, but spring gets off to a slow start because we're waiting for the snow to melt. So we don't have that. But thanks again, everybody. I see there's just eight of us left. But if you can make sure to communicate with your co-coaches, make them watch this. Tell them, hey, make sure you watch this, and otherwise get psyched for a fun spring.